Welcome to Manny's TV Talk, where we will talk about all of our favorite reality TV shows and news surrounding them. Grab a snack, a drink, and get comfortable because this starts now.
Nobody's crying about you, Marsau. Nobody. Even Tisha ain't gonna be crying about you when she leave your ass.
Why would you want Tisha to leave me?
I ain't say I want her to. I just got a feeling that
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the new episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 6, Episode 18. The title of this episode is Melody vs. Marsau, Round 5. So let's get started. So we pick up at Tiffany's baby reveal party. They were delayed, but they're beginning. They had a pastor who was there to say a few words. They bring the baby out. Now, Tisha does make it. They didn't know if she was going to be able to go, but she did go a little bit late, but she was there. So after that little presentation that they gave, the group starts to eat some lunch together. So they're interacting. Stormi definitely had some bad vibes with Tisha, like she wasn't even trying to hide it. To be honest, it was actually the whole group that was just giving weird vibes. And it's moments like these that remind you that these people, out of any cast of reality, are the least of friends. So yeah, the energy was off. Everybody was quiet. So Tisha, she was actually kind of in a pretty good mood. And she's like, so like, what's going on? Why is everybody so quiet? Were y'all quiet like this before I even got here? And Kimmi says, well, actually, before you got here, we were talking about the blaque expo. And Tisha says, oh, well, what about the expo? And Kimmi says some people were not too happy about certain things like Nel. So Nel gets the floor and says that it bothered her that, you know, she's been her and her husband have been part of the community for 20 plus years in Huntsville and they were not invited to anything. And Tisha became very dismissive, very defensive. She says, okay, your point was heard and received. I wasn't going to send out personal invitations. But she was talking in a very sarcastic tone. And something that triggered Nel. And says, you didn't have this energy when we had dinner. Like, why are you throwing all this shade? And Tisha says, like, why are we even talking about this topic at a baby party? If anybody wants to have an expo, she says expo, then they should have their own if they want to talk about it. But man, Nel sure was quick with it. I like her. Okay, so then after their little lunch, they headed over to another sitting area. Now they were joined by Tiffany because she was feeding the baby earlier. So they continue to talk about the expo. Tiffany speaks as if she's kind of over it. But Kimmi says, well, you were pretty upset when we had our lunch. And Tiffany says, yeah, but you know what? After hearing Stormi and her situation and her, experience compared to mine, it wasn't that big of a deal. So Nel says, oh yeah, so what ended up happening with those $100? She was being extra messy. I'm sure she knew exactly what happened, but she was, trying to get Tisha riled up. But Tisha completely ignores Nel, like she doesn't even answer. So Nel says, okay, well, I guess I'll ask you, Stormi, what happened with the $100? So they begin to discuss it, and Latisha gets up and leaves, but Stormi goes to get her and sit her back down. And now, y'all, she was holding Tisha's feet to the fire. She says, oh, well, Tisha and Marsau said in the dinner that they didn't pay, nobody paid them, and that it was all paid by themselves, the event was. So now it's a conversation about who paid for the event, what did they charge, what did they do with the money, did they make any money? And Tisha feels like everybody is coming at her. She actually was getting pretty upset and her voice started to shake a little bit. I think she almost cried. So Kimmi sees that and she quickly calms her down, and in a much calmer tone she says, it's just constructive criticism that we would like to have a sit down with you. So Tisha receives it from Kimmi. But then, oh Lord, Stormi says, well, Tisha, I didn't even have an issue with you. I have an issue with your husband who acts like a woman. Which, whether or not it's true, I don't think it's cool for a woman to say that about another woman's husband. If that was my wife and somebody said that about me, I would have wanted her to snatch them up. But they even said, like, the group was like chiming in, and they said that, Marsau should be here with the ladies, put on a wig. And this was a perfect opportunity for Mel to say that she didn't like the stuff that Marsau told the Fletchers about her, but Tisha pretty much has no response. I'm just like, dang, Tisha, we don't like Marsau or anything, but like, don't let these women speak on your husband like that. And listen, I get it. It's for the show, but why do they even care so much about being invited or not to this unorganized event? So that was that. Then moving along, there's a scene with Kimmi and Maurice. They're looking at a project that they're actually working on, but they're really behind, so they need to catch up. And then Kimmi fills Maurice on the tea on what happened with the Fletchers and that Marsau said to them that nobody paid for anything. And that they, Marsau and Tisha, paid for everything. So that took Maurice aback. And he was like, what? He said, what did he say? And he's like, no, I'm gonna need to hear it from him, because like that sounds crazy. And Kimmi says, yeah, and you know what? Marsau will pop off with anyone, male or female. He doesn't care. And Maurice agrees. He says that, yeah, Marsau can be a sarcastic A. And Kimmi says, Marsau said that he didn't even respect Melody because she sells t-shirts, which Maurice can't help but laugh. And Kimmi then also says that, you know, they need to have a sit down with them, talk about this expo and what they could work on improving. Okay, so y'all remember Nel last episode said that she owned a daycare? So that's where we are in this next scene. And Mel goes over, and the two of them are having a little chat about what happened at the baby party, specifically Tisha. She says, Nel says that, look, we've always supported them in blaque. Like, me and my husband, like, we've been there. So for them to not even acknowledge us for this expo, it was a little hurt. We were a little hurt. And they talk about maybe Tisha not being too involved in the company. So that's where Melody tells us that the government will give more contracting opportunities to a company if it's a woman-owned business. So maybe that's why Tisha is 85% owner. That's an interesting idea. And they also talk about maybe they have some money issues. Melody says that Tisha is still blocked on Instagram. And Melody asks Nel, do you want to be friends with Tisha? And Nel says, well, you know what? After the party, I think we're just going to have to be cordial. She really has no interest. Melody says, well, my problem really isn't with her. It's with her husband. And Nel says, yeah, I think that he might have a problem with successful women. But then, you guys, Melody says that she thinks Marsau thinks that if Tisha hangs out with her, it will give her the strength to leave his lie manipulative ass. Wow. Now, I don't agree because, well, my question would then be to Mel, did another woman give you the strength to leave Martell? I don't know. What do y'all think about that? Do y'all agree with what she said? Let me know in the comments. So next up is Keke. We finally see her husband, and she shares that she's been sick. That's why she couldn't go to Tiffany's party. She hopes that they don't think that she's trying to hide her face or that she relapsed, because that's not the truth. But she has been very sick. She has been going with different doctors. But the husband does not want her to take certain medications like methadone because he's a little scared of, like, she will get addicted to that. And it's totally understandable. He does tell her that she also needs to take better care of herself. Like the other night, she ordered Chinese food at 12 o'clock in the morning. And she feels like he is berating her. And we don't know, of course. But by that scene, he seems like a loving husband who really wants his wife to be better. I really think that. I think that Keke is being a little resistant. So I hope that they can work through that. Okay. It's finally what we've been waiting for, the Melody and Marsau sit down. Melody actually came in with a great energy, and Marsau notices and points it out. He says, I really like your energy. So they're catching up, and eventually she brings up that she was a little bit upset that he took dags at her. And so he starts to explain what he really meant, and that in his opinion, you know, she has a t-shirt business, which he doesn't see as valuable. He doesn't have a high opinion of that. She says, well, why do you sell t-shirts? And he says, to make money, but that doesn't mean I see it like I have a high opinion about that. He was trying to limit Melody to just an e-commerce, but Melody says that she moves in much bigger ways than just that when it comes to business. So he intentionally is downplaying what she does. She then starts to fix her eyelash as they're going back and forth, and he says, "Don't cry, Mel." And she says, "Ain't nobody crying about you, Marsau, just like Tisha won't be crying when she leave your ass. That's why you don't want her to be around me, so I won't inspire her to leave you." And he's like, "Well, why would you want her to leave me and have my kids be in a single-parent household?" Which I do agree with him on that. Listen, okay, two things. First of all, Marsau is a hard-headed ass, like, I felt like this was his opportunity to apologize to Melody and say, "You know what, I'm sorry. Of course you do more things than just sell t-shirts." But he was doubling down, you guys, and he was saying it to her face. I don't value your business. That is so disrespectful, because we know that this show pretty much came to be because of Melody. At the same time, and this might have just been Melody saying it, I don't think she really meant it, or she is wishing it upon him. But I mean, to say no, she didn't say this, but like to insinuate like maybe Tisha wants to leave you, I don't agree with that. I think that he is not a great husband and he should work on it, but working on it is different than her leaving it. And I'm only thinking about this way because they have kids, and I don't want to see any kid have their parents divorced. You know what I mean? So those were my thoughts about this, but that's where the episode ends, and it looks like next week things will heat up. We haven't seen Martell in 2 episodes straight, you guys, which, not saying I miss him or anything, but I just noticed that. But he will definitely be on the next episode, and it looks like the Fletcher's going to tell him something. He's going to be pissed at the Scotts. I think that this second half of the season, Marsau and Tisha are definitely the villains. That's what they're making it seem. But it's really exciting, you guys, so I can't wait for next episode. But what did you guys think about this episode? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch y'all next time. Have a great one. Bye.